Dude, the man, the myth, the legend. What's going on, bro?
All troops here, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's up, bro? It's been a while.
I know, it's been a minute.
What's going on? How you doing?
Phil.
Jordan, pleasure.
Pleasure, brother.
That's right.
Come on.
Had to dab up the cameraman real quick.
The invisible man back here.
First, we're hooking up the mics right now.
Y'all really just set up a whole thing in the middle of a gym, huh?
Yup. Yeah, dude. Thank you for being on, bro. Hey, I didn't forget about your liquid death.
Lucky D's, dude.
Yeah,
Come on.
Lucky D's.
I've actually never tried liquid death. This
It's the best thing in the world.
What is it? Like sparkling water?
It's sparkling.
It's sparkling water, but it's got like 20 cows of agave. So it's like a little sweeter than all the other ones. And I love it.
Okay, because that's always been my issue with
Exactly.
sparkling
I
water.
want like a little more.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
And they
like,
also make teas and stuff too that are good.
okay.
I need to pee and then I'm ready to go.
That
Murder your thirst or something like that. It's perfect, bro.
Murder your thirst. That kind of like makes sense.
Let's get into it. Boys.
Man, well, welcome back, man. We got a good episode for you guys today. There is someone here on our couch that some people, they may need no introduction, some people do, but this is one of the guys that I don't really think we do, but in case you've been sleeping under a rock, Jordan Beau, man. Let's give it up for Jordan Beau right here.
Let's go.
Man,
Great to have you here, man.
Yes, thank you so much. Now, Ethan, you know Jordan from this gym, actually, right? Is that how you kind of got linked up with Jordan?
Yeah.
Break that down real quick.
I think our very first time was me and him were shooting a vlog, and then you were over here doing something on the bench, right? And you're like, oh, like, you guys do YouTube, and after that, man, we just kind of clicked, and you know, got to talking, and ended up
Offered some unsolicited advice.
We had like an hour-long conversation.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was really good. And then we got him on a vlog because me and Xander, as you guys know, we do fitness vlogs, and check that out, by the way. You know.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, again, Jordan, thank you so much for coming down. Now, along with just being a gym bro, coming down here and showing Ethan what's up, helping him out, you know, on some of these videos. You're no stranger to doing videos. You're no stranger to doing podcasts, man. How long have you been kind of in the YouTube game? Now, I believe it started, was it the Beau brothers? Is that kind of Beau Bros? Is that where it started?
Yeah, so I used to have a channel with my brother, my older brother. He's a fireman now. We started that back in 2016. And then, so coming up on a decade now, I still technically make videos. I've taken more of like a behind-the-scene role. The last 2 years, just doing like consulting stuff, just so I could take a break and kind of rip that Band-Aid off, since I was so attached to like the idea of being a YouTuber for so long that like in a season of my life where I thought maybe it wasn't the time, I don't know, I just had that fear of like who am I without the YouTube label, you know?
Right.
But yeah, man, technically now if we still consider me making videos, it'll come up on 10 years in the next couple years, so.
Wow. Man, and they say like, what is it? Mastery takes like 10,000 hours or something like that.
Oh, I definitely got 10. Yeah,
bro.
We got
Easy.
Sure.
Well, one of the things that's kind of crazy with doing content creation, you kind of have to be like a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Right? You have to kind of learn a little bit about editing, a little bit about audio, some lighting here and there. So where did you have any help with that, or was it all ground floor, you and your brother kind of just learning as you guys go?
So we both used to ride scooters professionally. So we had a background of video creation to some extent. But we definitely had to learn the ropes. I mean, we started the same way most people start, on iMovie, and just kind of figured it out.
Yeah, shouts out to
Dude,
iMovie. Free software, man. Gotta love free
exactly.
software.
And so we definitely had a background in it, but we were definitely strangers to that expertise when it came to actually applying those skills to YouTube.
Yeah.
But I mean, going back to your 10,000 hours thing, bro, like we had a year we posted probably 340 videos.
Wow.
And you're editing like multiple hours a night. So yeah, we cracked 10,000 hours in a night.
Oh, easily. And this is before like AI software and all that stuff. So
or I guess 1,000 hours in a year is what I meant. So yeah, probably close to, especially with all the time filming, which is 8 hours of our day sometimes.
That's crazy.
340, so you were pretty much recording and editing like almost every single day? What, like,
yeah, it was like everyday uploads, but give or take in a year you miss some. For some reason, maybe a video didn't
That's
pull
16
through
days, dude. That's like 2 weeks out of the, what, 56 weeks?
Yeah.
That you didn't...
Just
that's
days
insane.
Doing content, you're
Yeah,
saying?
that's insane. That's insane. And you guys did like mostly pranks, right? That's how you guys started out?
No, so we started with scooter content.
Okay, yeah.
And then we went into more, we sort of like climbed the trend ladder at the time, which is what felt like the sensible thing to do. So we were doing like bottle flips, we got into trampolines.
Okay.
We were staying,
Yeah.
we're definitely staying within the guidelines and the confines of the things that we liked. while still like being quite aware of like what's going on YouTube right now. This was like the golden era of YouTube, so you could throw up a bottle flip video, or like we were like one of the first people to put a floor is lava video on YouTube. If not, I think the first channel to put it on YouTube outside of like video games had kind of some iteration of it, but at that time, bro, like stuff just banged.
Do you know how that popped off? Did it pop off like? Oh
yeah. So what happened was, my brother's, so like my sister-in-law's sister.
Okay.
I don't know what that makes her. She saw some couple doing it on Facebook. So like they started the trend, the like floor is lava game that we know today on Facebook, and they were doing a bunch of videos. She's like, hey, you guys should make this on YouTube. So she's really the genius behind all of it. We're like, yeah, that looks great. So we started banging it out, and then ironically, another friend of ours from Temecula, like you can go backdate this on YouTube. That's what's cool with YouTube. It's like everything exists in a timeline. So no one can really claim stuff outside of that timeline. And another buddy of ours from Temecula uploaded, I don't know if he got wind that we did it, but he uploaded another video like 6 hours after ours. So I'm like,
damn, quick.
Was that by odds, same geography? I don't know.
Maybe your sister-in-law was just like spreading around the word, like,
hey, someone was
dropping game everywhere.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy, man. So, how many channels have you actually had then over your career?
Well, my channel now, so my original channel was Beau Bros. That's technically one channel that I just switched into my name when my brother became a fireman. And then I had a couples channel at one point. I have a car channel called Driven by Jordan, automotive, and then I had another second just meme channel that I think it's called Jobo or something. And then I recently relaunched another YouTube channel. Ooh, it's got to be like a year and a half ago now, maybe. Gotcha. And that's just like my second Jordan Beau channel. My original channel, we can get into it on the pod, but like I sort of just like taxed the algorithm from like multiple different angles, too many niches, and I got to a point where I kind of made this like, it was a marketing stunt, but in reality it was just like a fresh slate. I know YouTube prioritized new channels a little better. So it's like also a Jordan Beau channel. And my original channel with like over 1 million subs, my like main channel just kind of sits there waiting. I did like a little podcast with my buddy to kind of just practice communication and like get in the rhythm before I have my own podcast.
Yeah.
But I probably will dedicate that channel to my whatever podcast I end up launching in the future. We'll just be like long form on there, yeah.
So you had all these channels, and like every single one was like kind of different content, right?
Yeah.
So what was your favorite, you'd say?
Oh.
The one you had the most fun with?
I mean, my main channel was like my business for the longest time. Like that, I was a YouTuber at trades. So for the longest time, like if people ask me like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a YouTuber, and like that was my baby because it has like every iteration of my really my teen into like young adulthood.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm such a car nerd that I think I've enjoyed making the automotive videos the most because like just getting the opportunity to drive really cool cars, like nothing beats that for me.
Exactly.
And like I'd say I kind of judge that by like how much fun did I have editing it. And I've had editors at certain phases of my career, but I'll know how much I enjoyed a video by my willingness to edit it. And like some videos I'm like putting off, and other videos I'm like, bro, I can't wait to get home, hop on my laptop and edit that. And that's like the automotive stuff probably.
So what type of cars did you have on this channel for people who don't know?
I will clarify that like I will always make that clear, and I did at the time. Like I was no baller. I was definitely taking like a large sum of my cash flow and dumping into cars. But the reason it made sense to me at the time was I know the car market like the back of my head. Like I might love shopping for cars more than driving cars. I just do.
Wow.
And then B, it served as a content purpose because it was really hard to operate an automotive channel without actually having cars. Because then I was like basing all of my content around externalities that I had no control over, right? Like whether someone was going to let me use their car, or if cool cars were going to be at this event, whatever. So yeah, just to clear that up, I think my first like sports car is ironically my first Golf R I had. That wasn't really for the channel, but at the time I was pretty fired up.
Is it Golf R?
Yeah.
Golf.
Okay.
A Golf R. Same car I have right now, ironically. A different,
Stick?
First one is DSG, so automatic.
Okay.
And then I quickly, everything was going really well for me in my career. I bought a gated manual R8, so a 2012 R8 at the time, which was like my first, my first exotic car. But yeah, it just depends on the generation you're looking at. But I think I only had that car for 2 months.
Whoa!
And then I flipped it. I think I only had it for such a short amount of time that the registration that was on it didn't expire until I sold it. So I think I like never had to register the car. I don't remember, something like that. And then I bought a new gen NSX, so the new Acura NSX called the NC1 for all the nerds out there.
Yeah.
That was a moment in my life where I'm like, I remember like I have videos on my phone of me like a year and a half before in the dealer when they just hit like showroom floors, like kind of fanboying over it. Like so my life moved very quickly. I was so blessed. The amount of grace I had at that time was very high. And again, they were more like tools for me. I wasn't trying to flex on anyone. I wasn't trying to look the part. I really just like, these are the cars I loved. And they all sort of fell into this bracket of like, what cars do I think will do well in the next 2 years? So if I can get in at a really good deal and I can sell at a high price, I'll always make money, which I will claim, besides my golf, I always made money on all my cars. So people think I balled out, but really like, I drove them all for free if you think about it. Like besides buying tires and whatever it is. And then after that, I bought an M2. I think I swapped my daily out with an M2, same as Zay's car out there, ironically. Same gen, N55. And then I sold my NSX, and then I bought a GT4 Porsche.
Oh my gosh.
First gen, 981. And then I sold my M2 because I moved to Arizona, and I didn't want to take 2 cars out with me to Arizona. That was just going to be a hassle. This is me rambling on really, really long. I had my GT4 in Arizona, and then I sort of got in this phase where I think for a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, I was testing automotive content on my main channel.
Okay.
Again, me dipping into way too many niches, probably a bad idea, but I wanted a car to do road trips with. I had like a small team. I had like a filmer and editor, and then another buddy of mine was just helping with content, like brand stuff. So I bought an RS3. Okay. The original RS3. Sold my GT4. It was a tiny car. I don't know why it was a road trip car in my mind, but I consider that to be my road trip car. We went on 2 trips. We did Salt Lake, and then we did up the coast of California all the way to Portland.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, that was just like, it was a built full E85 stage 2. That was ironically the fastest car I ever owned was my RS3. But I just got to a point where, I mean, I remember a time over the pandemic where, just for better terminology here, where like I was driving my NSX every day. I think my girlfriend at the time was in the state that she lived in for much longer than we thought. So I was like soloed during like where we thought we needed to be like in our houses locked down. And I would just go out every day. Like my medicine was my NSX. Like I'd go drive my NSX. But I distinctly remember just kind of paddling through the gears and just being like, I'm bored. Like I don't appreciate this car. Like the car that I didn't even think was realistic for me to own in the next 5 years. I just lost appreciation for it. And maybe I climbed the ladder of cars too fast, which is probably somewhat the case. But as that trickled down into my other cars, I just like lost my love for cars and kind of had to just take a break. And also at the time I was liquidating a lot of my cash out of these cars because I was reinvesting all my money into YouTube. So I just became poorer and poorer as time went on, where I'm like, oh, this cash could be used elsewhere. Like having it in cars, the automotive channel wasn't like the main priority at the time. So
that's a trip, man. And something that kind of caught me in my ear like just a little while ago was something you said. You've been doing this for the past 10 years or so. I mean, bro, what is that like, kind of seeing yourself like grow up like on YouTube, like, and seeing like different phases of your life and everything? Like,
it's crazy. I was 18 when I started. I'm 25 now. Maybe even 17 when I started, but yeah, I mean, dude, you can go through, and I'll go back and watch videos, and like, yeah, I was a different person every season. I will say, I again am grateful enough for like, I never had to change who I am as much, just because I was always very like, I had a strong foundation in sense of self. So when I was a young kid starting YouTube, I wasn't that much different as a person. I was just in a far different season of my life. So I look at it less of like who I was as a person rather than like what seasons of my life was I in. And I can distinctly tell, like my scooter season, there was a season of YouTube when like everything was doing well and I was clearly making a lot of money and I was traveling a lot, but like the limitations of what content I would make did not exist. So like, there's some crazy stuff you can go look at of me on the internet of like a video of me getting my ass waxed on YouTube.
Oh my gosh!
I got a video of me like getting.
Was that the one you sent me last night? Oh, no. It was one of them.
Like, no.
My wife is like, what are you looking at?
Whose ass is that? But yeah, bro. So that's what's crazy is like I can see all the seasons. I can see me going through breakups and me going through quarter life crises of just like trying to figure out who I was and I think I could probably go back and find some sort of value in that of me now.
For
But
sure. Looking back on your past and you got that all documented,
Yeah.
that's kind of like pretty precious. I feel like.
So I do want to ask. So when you said that you were flipping through the gears of the
Yeah.
car, right? And I forget exactly what you said. You said you lost appreciation for it, right? Something.
yeah, I
along-
just got bored.
So like, normally when someone loses appreciation for something, they kind of gain appreciation for something else. At least in people that I know. So is there anything that when you were coming to this moment where you're like this just isn't enough, like this doesn't make me as happy as it used to? What did you kind of focus on? Like, you know what, instead of this, like I'm more focused on this. This makes me happy. This is what I want to, you know.
I'd say it wasn't a thing. It wasn't
Okay.
a passion. It wasn't a hobby. Rather, it was just the alternative to like monetary things, right? So material things. So once I sort of realized what people have been telling me my whole life, that like you will always accustom yourself to material items and
Yes.
and these cars and these houses and this lifestyle. Like you accustom yourself to that so quickly, and you don't even realize it. It just becomes normal. That I sort of flipped the switch and was like, well, what is important in my life? What has never gotten old? And it's just the cliche. It's like your family, your friends,
Yes.
the present, growth. I love like personal growth. Like that's what
Yes.
drives me. When you have these things, yeah, they can sort of be like a celebratory aspect of like, oh, I do this work and this is what I'm going to reward myself with, but it doesn't really feel that way. And it's
Yeah.
so short-lived that all the other stuff lasts so much longer.
I agree. I really like that answer, man. I think it always comes down to the core values. Like
Yeah.
you said, people who are religious, they kind of fall under their religion, and family, friends, all that different type of stuff. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more, man.
For sure. I
couldn't
think we
agree
can
more.
all agree to that. Like, there's something we've all wanted. Like, for me, it's like I'm a sneakerhead, or at least I was way more in the past. So I buy all these shoes, and then, a week after I have them, like,
Man, these are old.
Yeah,
Like, man, that's
shit, they
all
already
three-
kind of creasing a little bit. It's like, it
You
just
see
doesn't
three
hit
other
the
people
same.
that have them, and you're
material,
like,
man.
man.
I was just having a conversation with my mom about this the other day, where it was like that decision you make, that weak moment when you're buying like something like clothes, whatever, right? And I think something cool to think about is human beings are definitely like beings of service. Like, we feed off of service. And, like, everyone understands that feeling of giving, whether it's just buying your boy dinner or going on a mission trip or doing something crazy, right?
Yeah.
When you're in that moment of like buying something, you're having a weak moment, or maybe it's not a weak moment, but it doesn't align with your values or your goals, right? You're buying a piece of clothing, maybe you're buying a car. I think it's important to take a moment and ask yourself, how long is this joy going to last from this? And then envision yourself taking that same amount of money or something of similar amount and then doing something of service with it. And how much more will that make you feel better? And how much longer will that last? So, like, if you're buying a $80 hoodie, it's like, okay, but maybe you shouldn't be buying it, or you're like, this is going to be a fleeting thing. Take a second. Imagine yourself doing something with $80. Like, what was it if I don't know, bought my friend a Disneyland ticket, which you can't get for $80 anymore.
It's like a tank of gas now.
Yeah, exactly. Or what was it? What would it be like if I gave a buddy of mine who I know is struggling financially this $80 to get a meal or whatever?
Fill up his gas tank, whatever.
Have that thought. And again, I'm not perfect. I don't do this every time, but it's like stuff that I want to implement in my life. Of like, that makes the decision to not buy shoes real easy when you know you shouldn't be buying.
Yeah, no, that's
Yes.
very good.
Right.
Like,
That's
I never
facts,
even thought about it like that. Like, damn, who could I be like helping out with this type of money? Because usually when I swipe that card, I'm like, all right, I ain't even gonna think. I'm just gonna,
I ain't going back. Yeah.
Because
going
you
back
can't
down.
think. You can't think
Nothing
sometimes.
about the price. I'm just going I don't know.
I think there's a balance too. Like, I think about this a lot. Like, if you were super passionate about fashion and shoes, and like that, your future had something along that lines, and like, it might be okay for you to invest in shoes because like that's who you are.
Yeah.
That's you translating into the world. Like, this is who I am. This is what I love, and shoes might be a big part of that. But if you're someone else that like, you don't really care that much about clothes, and it's just a far different question for you.
like how you were with cars. Like,
Yeah.
For other people, that probably wasn't like very attainable, but since that was like your thing,
Yeah.
you're willing to put a lot more money into that. So yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
I think there's a fine line for sure.
Yeah.
Comes that stuff.
Man, well, dude, we've covered a lot of ground so far, but one of the things that we kind of wanted to dig deep in, like, this is one of the first endeavors that we've done for podcasts. These guys have definitely put some time in on the YouTube, working algorithms and whatnot, man. You definitely got your time. This is kind of a first thing for me, especially getting involved with all this, man. And one of the things Ethan and I were kind of talking about that we would love to kind of hear you break down a little bit was kind of going into the details. You were saying you tried quite a lot of different things with your different channels, right? You found yourself digging into different, topics and whatnot. And one of the things we want to do is try and help other people as well, physically, mentally, all that stuff. But for people who actually might be considering content creation as well, we got a little bit of advice from our last guest, Ace, that said, Raymond. It was Raymond that was saying, just to do things that you're passionate about. And Raymond,
long time,
yeah.
long time,
Yeah.
over a decade.
Damn.
Small world.
Yeah,
It's
right?
a small world, man.
Bro, well, that's why it's renewed, right? It's like everything revolving around
There
this
you go.
gym here.
Yep.
And both you guys are members here, but could you kind of maybe expand on that a little bit, or if there's something that you wanted to add to that? His major thing was doing something that you're passionate about, creating something that you're passionate about, other than just people kind of following like what algorithms are hot right now. That might not necessarily translate to a good video. What would you say for all the people that want to do something like this to get into it?
I'd say on the macro, and I've said this time and time again, it's like, look at some of the most important people in the world, whether it's like, I don't know, Elon Musk or some of the biggest athletes or musicians in particular. I think a lot of them probably didn't expect to be where they're at today. Rather, they followed their passions and the things that they loved most, became really good at it, and acquired a skill that then produced the outcome by accident.
Yeah.
Right? By accident, maybe it was planned, but for the most part, people who get into doing things, again, like Raymond said, with passion, with love, rather than searching for monetary gain, typically translate in their work, right? So it translates in content, it translates in business, whatever it is. So if you're getting into content creation, and this goes for any other businesses, find out your why. Like, why do you want to make videos? Is it because you have a passion for videography, a passion for documentation, or a passion for the subject matter that you are going to document? And if none of those things align, and you're like, I don't know, you have the realization, you're like, oh, maybe it's because I watch Jake Paul and he's got a crazy life and I want a crazy life, or Mr. Beast seems like he's got it all figured out. It's like, no, like, ask yourself the why. So if you're getting into it, follow your passion. Like, document, share your passion with the world, whether that's you acquiring the skill and like going deeper in it every day, or share the things you love the most, maybe if skill's not even involved. And another thing to account is like, bro, some of these people who make most people make videos, it's a job, it's a hassle. I mean, you go up the ladder too of like those that people aspire to be like. Speaking of Jake Paul, Mr. Beast, like, that is it's not a life for everybody. I mean, I've gotten a little taste of that world of, as far as making videos every day and being on YouTube and having to rebrand over and over and over again, and having these like crisis of like, who am I and what message do I want to share with the world? Like, that doesn't come easy. It's not like an easy alternative to the traditional 9-to-5 or being a construction worker, whatever. Like, it's arguably more difficult. And especially as running your own business, like, you don't have somebody telling you what to do every day. That's a blessing to most, but at the end of the day, they don't realize it's difficult to be your own boss.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a blessing to be your own boss, but it's difficult. It's easier to follow directions than to create the order, Yeah. And so that's like the macro of it. Wow. As far as micro goes, I mean, it's simple. I'd say don't overthink it. People procrastinate so much because they want their first iteration of their product content to be perfect, and it will never be. No one's ever gone back and watched their first video and thought this was amazing.
Like,
never.
Slaps.
It's always quite the contrary. This is horrible. I can't believe I made this.
Right.
But that's how you learn. That's how you get better, is by doing, not by thinking. Right? We think that we can get better by just planning in our head, but no, we're not making any moves. So start, and when you start on some sort of consistent schedule. Like, if you're going to commit to doing it, make it a part of your life. And if your schedule's busy, then do it once a week, or do it once every 2 weeks, but make sure your product's damn good enough to sort of last that span.
Yeah.
Right.
Or do it every day. You know what I mean?
And that's another thing I was going to ask you too. It's like, you go online and you see some of these videos, and man, some of the stuff that's out there, you just got to filter through a lot of just garbage, man. Yeah. And so how do you make yourself kind of stand out amongst the fray of people that are just blasting things out there that aren't really putting a whole lot of work in there?
Being
and you're
yourself. Sorry to cut you off. That's the problem. Is it's a huge landscape of people who are living a facade, right? It's like, you can tell. Typically, obviously, I'm generalizing, but like most of the time, success falls through the cracks. It's from somebody being their self. Emma Chamberlain's a perfect example that I have conversations about quite often. Is like, people are like, a lot of people who are older, mid-20s, early 30s, definitely in their 40s, 50s, like, they don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Like, she could get paid tens of millions of dollars for a podcast, or she films herself, and, like, I'm sure that girl's made over $50 million in her life.
Probably.
That's an estimation. I have no idea. People don't understand that. I'm like, she and I'm trying to explain to people, like, she is herself to the core, undeniably herself, unapologetically herself, and that's what people resonated with. It was these girls, or these maybe even young men, who could relate to her on that level of, like, you're not trying to. It's not relatable to drive a Lambo at 18, but it's really relatable to spill your coffee, or to paint, or to take up a new hobby. Like, that's what we're all doing in our 20s, early 20s. Is we're just figuring ourselves out.
You know, that's actually a really good point, because I remember, this is a while ago, but I remember seeing an ad Kylie Jenner put out on her TikTok or whatever, because she was, like, dropping a new cosmetic line, and she was, like, in her car, like, pretending to be, like, all goofy, like, I dropped my phone or whatever. So she was obviously copying people like Emma Chamberlain and everything, and people in the comments saw right through it, like, oh, she's in her colon. Yeah, exactly.
Dropping her makeup.
I know. She in her, like, nice ass Lamborghini and everything, and then the comments were just like, yeah, she's not like one of us. She's trying to pretend. So,
but again, I'm not a big support. Like, dude, you never know. Like, that might be who Kylie Jenner is. You know, like, they grew up under that light.
Yeah.
I don't mean to play devil's advocate here, but, like, as long as you're being yourself, it doesn't matter who. And I didn't mean to use the Lamborghini example to say that anyone who has a Lamborghini isn't being themselves.
For sure.
I just think people glamorize that, so they lose their sense of self in trying to seek that.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, oh, this person has a Lamborghini, so I want to be like that person. It's like, no,
idolize them.
You can have a Lamborghini being like yourself. You know what I mean? That's not the route to Lamborghini. The route to success, whatever that looks like, monetarily or just from the masses, is being yourself.
Yeah.
But obviously, you have to figure out how to monetize that and how to build a business out of it, which isn't for everybody.
Well, one of the things that we love talking about is the different people that inspire us in the gym, and one of the guys that's inspiring to a lot of people, Sam Solik. And you figure it's just the Rode mic, and a camera.
He records 45-minute plus videos, hour-plus minute videos, and mostly people do short form content, like 10, 15 minutes, and they make it short, sweet, simple. This fool is just unedited, just everything. And I think people found, not everyone does that, and I think it was authenticity that really got people, like, hooked. Like, why is he, and there's no cuts, right? So all the mess ups, he just kind of, like, goes through it.
The people walking in front of him and stuff.
Well, watch, here's a question. Name 10 of the biggest influencers you can think about. Influencers, content creators. Like, let's try to stay out of celebrity outside of the digital world.
So
that I know about?
Trend Twins.
Okay.
Is that two? Does that count as two?
Well, they're like,
no, it doesn't have to be fitness, too.
Oh,
it could be anything. Ideally, anything.
Okay.
Just name, like, 5 to 10 channels.
Okay,
right,
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast.
Mark
Beast.
Rober.
Oh, yeah. I like him.
Super
Logan Paul, obviously.
Okay, Logan Paul.
Roman Atwood.
Casey
Neistat.
KSI.
Okay. He's the one example that doesn't count, but...
Oh, okay.
The reason I asked this is how many of those people blew up because of their skills of production and videography and editing.
Okay, you're right. Now I see why you say Casey Neistat doesn't apply, because he is.
That's who he is.
Yes.
He's a filmmaker, but all the other ones, they're massive, but they're not passionate about filmmaking. They delegated those tasks out to other people. They have teams that do that for them.
Yeah.
They're popular because they are who they are.
Yes.
And like that's what we think about. It's like when we get on YouTube, everyone's like trying to make the best video possible, and it's like packaging's important. But Sam Solik, who gets 1.5 million likes on Instagram, I always use Instagram as a metric. There's no production there. He just shows up with a mic. He just has good audio quality, and he talks raw because he's him. People watch it because of who he is, not because of what he's creating. You know?
Right.
All right, Jordan. So just moving into another section, right? I noticed, you've been saying that you're on a 3-day fast, right? And you're not eating anything. You're just drinking water. Broth. Okay,
you don't eat broth, so
drink broth.
So go in that a little bit. How are you feeling? What are the side effects?
And what started it, bro? Why? What?
Yeah, may I?
That's kind of an extreme thing.
I've never fasted before. I've done a lot of intermittent fasting in my life, but there's nothing like that. That doesn't count.
Yeah,
intermittent's easy. You could just, you count your meal before, right? So you get to sleep through half of your your fasting window.
I do intermittent fasting.
Yeah,
Same. Yeah, same.
We're not trying to. Intermittent fasting is cool. You know,
It's cool, guys.
But I saw that video. I'm not sure if you guys saw recently of Dana White, who just did the
Yes.
same thing.
Oh,
on the Nope
Yeah.
podcast, right?
So it just kept. Yeah, I don't know what podcast it's on, but it kept. No, I think he posted his TikTok or something. But he talked about it on their
On
podcast.
the Nope. Yeah.
It was
But
the
that
Nope.
clip just kept showing up, and I was like, I've always wanted to do like a prolonged fast, just more to like challenge myself, but also the reason this caught my attention is like I always have a horrible gut, and I always preach to people, I'm like, bro, we ruin our gut day after day in, day out, and we never let it heal. Like it never gets a break. So it's like a scab that you're just like ripping off every single day, and our gut is lined with like I don't want to butcher. I think there's maybe like collagen or something else that's in the broth that makes up that lining. Don't want to get too technical here, slip on my words, but like that is something that we just destroy all the time, especially me, bro. Like I'm definitely allergic to milk. I'd be drinking that every day. A lot of it. Maybe allergic to bread. I don't know. I've sort of like eliminated stuff from my diet, but the benefits of this fast, a bone broth fast in specific, was to give your whole digestive system a break, and then also like the challenge of it for me.
Okay.
And may I add, I'm 48 hours in about right now because I had a meal. My last meal was 2 days ago at this time, and dude, they always talk about like day 3 when you're feeling on top of the world and you're sharp and you're not even hungry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bro, day 1, dude. End of the night, day 1, that night sleep, and early day 2 was miserable.
Oh, jeez.
I will preface with the fact that when you do a fast, especially a prolonged fast, so like 48 hours and up, you're not supposed to eat unclean leading up to it. You're supposed to sort of have your diet in check because you don't want to like spike your metabolism too much or
Gotcha.
your insulin levels too much the day before, so that you're like craving a ton of food and you just it's more like hits your body with a shock. I didn't know that until I started. I did not eat very good the day before my fast.
You have.
Would Jack
Bro,
in the Box?
I made it horrible. I had like a sandwich. I definitely had like a cookie or something, or like I had something sweet. I don't remember what it was. And then for dinner, I had chicken and rice, but I had a lot of it.
Okay.
I probably ate like 3,000 calories that day, which isn't terrible. But again, going from 3,000 to nothing, I probably should have mellowed out at like a 2,000 calories, something light on the stomach. But yeah, bro, day 1 was tough. I didn't sleep very good the first night at all. It like, bro, I felt like I had a sick, I guess, a flu without like the nausea symptoms. Like to turn over was a difficult task. So as I'm like tossing and turning at night, I dreamt about food the whole night. I was like, but I dreamt about food in the sense that like I need to eat because I'm hungry. Like my stomach was telling my brain to dream about food because like we needed to eat. But I know. Like I knew first day was gonna be difficult, and today was day 2, first full day 2, and like around 2 p.m. I started feeling good. I wasn't as hungry. I got more energy, and then right now, before I came here, I took electrolytes, had some broth. I feel great. I wasn't even know I didn't even know if we could work out because like if you caught me last night, bro, hell no, I couldn't even go on a walk.
Well, we would have understand and just postponed.
Yeah.
But one thing that Dana White said, and I really dig, like I really like, is day 3, the mentality, like you said, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like they call it the lion's mentality. It's like you're constantly on the hunt.
Yeah.
It's almost like your body's natural instinct when you're hungry or starving. Yeah. It's like you're on the hunt for something. Yeah. You're like motivated. So I just want to know. I know it helps physicality. You know, I mean, you can gain it back a little bit if you eat 3,000 calories the next like week or whatever. But as far as mental, me and Xander wrestled for a long time. We had to cut weight constantly, right?
Yeah.
And I know the mental toughness that it built between us, like, was just that was the most mentally tough I've ever been. Do you think that this is going to add some mental toughness aspects or any sense of differentiation in your drive about things?
I'll be honest. Getting into it, I thought it would. Like I looked at it more like a challenge. The gut health was an extra benefit.
Yes.
I love stuff like that. I don't know. It's challenging, like, but it's like it's all mental. So if it's not physical, I'm like, oh, I can do that. No questions asked. Like if it's physical, I might ask some questions. I don't know, you know. But mental stuff, I'm like, well, I can do it. It's just a matter of like, will I? But ironically, the physical, like, I don't want to call them symptoms, but like the physical issues I dealt with the day 1 were the hardest. I wasn't craving food as much as my body was craving food. Yeah. Like I wasn't like, I went to Costco with my mom. I'm looking at like, they got a pizza.
You went to Costco day 1?
I'm shopping for myself when I can eat again.
Bro, you know those muffins in those big containers got you.
It was a horrible idea.
The beef jerky.
But even then, bro, my mindset was more around I feel like crap than I need food to like satisfy my need for carbs or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I guess that was kind of the contrary of what I thought. I thought it would be like a mental battle of like, no, like we're gonna quit today. Like we need a burger. But I'm like, nah, bro. I'm like, I need to keep going because I don't want to do this again. I do want to try to do them, but in reality, I'm like, if I quit on day one because I didn't prep right, I'm gonna have to do this all over again. And the hardest part was about done. So right now, it's like, bro, tomorrow's supposedly day 3, and I can kind of feel right now, I'm not craving food at all. I'm definitely tired of drinking broth. Not my favorite thing in the world to drink. I probably won't be eating chicken noodle soup for a long time.
I bet.
But yeah, bro, like it's just difficult. They don't talk about day one's hard.
Yeah, I think that's the most like natural state of shock your body's in. Because you eat 3,000 calories, then you're like, your body's like, why aren't you eating? What's going on? And then day 2 is like, okay, maybe we're just like, maybe there's no food around. And day 3 is like, we're on our own, man. Like,
we're in fight or flight now.
But
But for me too, normally I drink. Like if I dude, it's often I don't eat till 4 p.m., 5 p.m., sometimes 6, 7 p.m. But I at least had a coffee in the morning. So like, bro, a coffee, I don't know, if I have like my sugary coffee, like a 300 calorie coffee.
Dang.
It's way different. Like that'll last me all day. I'm running on caffeine, which I think suppresses appetite in some regards. So
It does.
Yeah, it was different. It's a different ballgame. Y'all should do it. It's great.
Well, then
I might try it out.
Yeah, when you're just constantly busy, you're not really thinking about that hunger anymore. And so I think it was Andrew Tate who was saying, like, I'm more productive when I'm hungry.
Yeah, true.
Like,
yes, the lion
it's like
mentality,
when you have to pee.
I'm telling you.
This is a weird one. Weird take. When I got to pee, I'm move.
That's true.
Like, I'm like, I got to pee, I'll pee in 20, but I'm going to get this done, but I'm going to get this done twice as fast because I got to pee.
Exactly. Sometimes it's a reward, like you're doing something. All right, once I finish this, like I'll go pee. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it may be difficult for some, though, because, like, I would still do it, right? But I can feel you, like, that second day when we're lifting and stuff, we lift Monday through Friday. And I feel like day 2, if we're hitting like legs or something, I probably just wouldn't. Dude.
I'd be like, dude, something came up.
I have that mentality because Dana White says the same thing. He's like, bro, I was working all day. I was working out.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, bro, we're going to distract ourselves. You know what I did day 1?
What?
I watched 2 Hunger Games movies and sat my ass on the couch like I was sick.
Damn.
I couldn't do anything.
Wrapped up in a blanket.
Bro, I tried working. I worked from like...
Kind of ironic choice, the Hunger Games. Like,
Oh my god!
Is it like a subliminal?
I
Like,
just got that, dude.
I didn't think about that.
I'm really gonna punish myself now.
I'm like, they think this is the Hunger Games? Y'all should feel me right now. But no, like, bro, I wasn't in them. I tried working and like I couldn't be creative. My brain was like, it was just taxed. I felt sick. I felt like, but I haven't been sick in so long. This is like self-induced sickness.
Yeah.
I felt like this was like, I never got COVID, but I'm like, this is what I imagine it to be like. I was down bad, and then the next day I woke up, I was gonna go on a walk, and I'm like, bro, I can't. I did go on a little walk, but I walked 10 minutes and I was tired, and then I felt good. I'm not trying to to put this down. It's just day 1's brutal, and then you're chilling.
That's crazy.
So that was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I see this man running 5 a.m. with his friend. Who is that?
Oh yeah, my friends in Arizona, they started a run club.
Nice.
So him not being able to go on a walk, but he'll wake up at like, when the sun comes up and go on like, how far do you even run?
At home, I run like 3.5 miles.
Dang.
It just depends. When I used to run when I lived in Westlake up in LA, I run like, it's like a 6-mile loop uphill.
Dude, good for you.
And downhill. The downhill helped me. But yeah, bro, just now, like different seasons of my life and my physique, honestly, I'll run differently. But everyone's in me and Art were chatting about everyone's into running right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, I keep seeing people run marathons. I'm like, I want to run a marathon.
That's true.
But bro, 26 miles, we say marathon. We toss that word out. So easy. And then you break it down, like, oh, I got to run for 26 miles straight. I'm like, I only want to drive 26 miles.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
that's like a 30-minute drive at least.
That's wild.
So I try to stay up on running, just as like a 2-a-day thing. Always in my life, go on a run, listen to podcasts and stuff like that.
So what's your like routine then, like for your fitness routine? Like, obviously you're running a lot. Can you break down, like, what do you do, like, in a week? Are you hitting it, like, a couple of days a week, three times a week? Like, what, like...
So, my workout routine usually stays the same. My diet usually varies. Like, I'll have seasons where I did, like, a crazy bulk and a cut when I lived in Arizona, and, like, fitness was more centered in my schedule. It was, like, everything I was eating, I was tracking, stuff like that.
I got you.
When I was bulking, I was going kind of crazy. I was eating everything, anything. But...
As we all do.
Yeah. At that time, I was lifting like 7 days a week. I was going through, like, it was just a more stressful season of my life. I was trying to figure out my business again, like restructuring that, so I was at home a lot more. So like going to the gym was my outlet. Like I loved it.
Yes.
Love that though.
Now I'm back in like a healthy schedule in my life, so I try to hit the gym more in tune with like recovery and such. So like I won't usually go 7 days a week, But I'd say I'm very active. Like, I need to move. Like, I like food, so my diet sort of just like, when I'm in like what I call like off season, diet's mellow. When I'm at home, I cook a lot. I love to cook. I cook with more whole foods, meats, honestly for the most part meats and fruit or meats and vegetables. That allows me when I go out to just have a burger and fries and just kind of chill.
Really
Nice.
So diet's not crazy strict, but the workout routine always stays, so that if my diet fluctuates, my physique sort of maintains.
So
I gotcha.
with that being said, what's your goal body right now? What are you trying to build? What are you trying to lose? Because you're talking about diet a lot. I just want to know, you're getting all the macros and everything locked in, but what are you more so trying to obtain in the gym?
I think short term, I've never been shredded. I've gotten lean plenty of times. But I think that last like 10% that you need to hit is where you sort of have to go like double down on diet. And I don't know, something always changes when I do that. I think I subconsciously resort to knowing that, I could just put on size again.
Yeah.
That's short term, is like I'd love to get shredded, but long term, because I know, like I only weigh, I think I'm like 160 right now.
Okay.
When I bulked, I was 175. I cut down to 150-ish.
Wow.
Bro, I probably could have cut down. I started my bulk at like 145, and I probably would have been similar body fat at that same weight but bigger. How that works, I don't know, because I put on a lot of muscle, but I started creeping back down to my like starting weight.
Yeah.
But I was clearly bigger, more
Yeah.
full, like obvious. There was no questions about that.
Yeah.
But I think because being 160, like I know me I'm 5'9"-ish, maybe a little under. At 160 lean, I would look phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I probably have a nice 10 pounds of fat to play with.
Definitely.
So I think the excuse I always just kind of know in the back of my head is like, well, as long as I'm going to the gym always, I'm going towards that long-term goal, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm either building muscle or I'm cutting fat. Sometimes I'm cutting less fat and I'm just building muscle. So to me, it's not an L, but I do think there's some level of excuse that I make in my head of why I haven't been shredded. But even then, if I get shredded, I'll be shredded at, 145, 150. I still need to gain another 10 pounds of muscle.
yeah.
So I don't know. I think at one, I'm never going to take anything. I'll be natural, obviously, till the day I die. So I understand. I used to love, like, the Zac Efron style physique, like big, blocky abs.
Yeah.
He's my height. But he's definitely not natural, so I don't know how close I can get to that off stuff. So
He's not natural.
Yeah, that
There's no way.
160 lean. Oh, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely
No,
not.
he's not
What's
natural.
that
but
lifeguard movie?
Baywatch?
Yeah, he looks incredible.
Not
Yeah.
natural.
But I think
But
for
yeah, he
him-
looks crazy, though.
he looked crazy.
His physique might be semi-attainable, natural, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the reason he took stuff is because you're on a timeline. Like, these
Yes.
dudes are getting shredded. And
I think like
getting
6
quick.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
6
But I
years it
think
would take.
he's around, like, in
You're
my
doing, like,
mind,
6 months.
depending on your genetics, the peak physique for someone who's like 5'9". I don't know how much
for
further
sure.
you can go without taking stuff, and
Yeah.
I have no interest. So
And he's not like too
Yeah.
massive.
I look
or
at
anything. He's, like,
we'll use
crazy.
my boy again in Neighbors. He had, I think, a nattier physique. Super attainable. Like, it's not crazy. He looks
Yeah.
great. But he's probably weighing 150 or something then. Like, he wasn't huge.
Yeah.
Something like that, bro. I don't care. For me, I'm more
Yeah.
like functional health. I want to feel good. I want to look good.
Exactly.
As
yeah.
I get older,
agree.
and I really just go to the gym and like everything in my life is about pushing myself. So like having a strict diet, knowing I love food, is just to keep myself in check.
Keeps you
Yeah.
disciplined. It
Yeah,
keeps
it's just
the
discipline, really,
Yeah.
for me. That's what I love the most.
Now, how has your training kind of varied since you were a pro at such a young age, and then now you're training just for like longevity? Like, were you even really focused on like training back then, or was it all just like, I'm getting my time in on the scooter and like that's my training,
Yeah,
that's
bro,
my
like,
entire
it was
workout?
such a passion for us, and it was, I think, because scootering never evolved into like a real profitable sport. That was, I mean, it's still not in the X Games. I don't think we've done sort of stuff. It's not in the
I mean,
Olympics.
Nitro kind of like really kind of blew
Nitro
it up,
and
yeah.
Ryan have pushed it, and not to discredit all the other people who have helped, but in specific, they've pushed it, and we still haven't really broken ground.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's as big now as it was when I was riding. Like, the market cap of scootering might have even been bigger. Shops might have been doing better. I don't know. I don't know this information. I would
Yeah.
guess that from an outsider's standpoint, but I think because I knew, like, if I was a professional skateboarder, you can make money skateboarding. We'll just imagine you can make a good living skateboarding, like Nitro crushes, stuff like that.
Sure.
Knowing that, I would have had the discipline. I would have looked at it like a sport, like training, like my business. Whereas at the time, though it was my business, it was still such a fun thing. Yeah, we just go to the skate park all the time, bro. right before I turned pro, I was probably like chubby. Like I was like a chubby 16-year-old kid competing. Like I wasn't in great shape. I think I started working out at that time. I grew some inches, so like I leaned out. Yeah. I was going to the gym, but I wasn't going to the gym for scootering. I was just training. Yeah. Whereas now, like, now it's just incorporated in my life, and it's something that, like, I couldn't go a week without going to the gym. That would be insane.
No, for sure.
I could not do that.
Like, once you start going, it's like, man, it's like kind of like you itch to go to the gym if you're missing it.
And it just makes me like, I get fueled on progress. And so sometimes in those stagnant years or months of my business, the progress I had in my fitness was fulfilling me and handling that part.
And that's a healthy progression as well. People turn to different stuff that's not good for their mental or their physical or their spiritual. I think the gym does amazing things as far as being a disciplined person, and I think it builds character as well. It's like you said, you push yourself every day. You don't want to hit an extra set. You don't want to hit a couple extra reps. You know what I mean? And that's a you versus you. Yeah. And once you start winning the battles with you versus you, I think that you finally take control of a bigger portion of your life. You don't have as much doubt. You know what I mean?
It builds confidence in yourself and your abilities.
Absolutely.
It's like those promises you make to yourself. Whether or not you fulfill those promises is going to dictate the amount of confidence you have in yourself.
Yes.
So if you keep telling yourself every day, I'm going to get fit, and you don't, you've lost confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
You haven't lost confidence in like your outward appearance. You've lost confidence in who you are and your ability to do the things you say you will do.
Yeah.
That's such a big thing in just being a man. Being a person, but really becoming a man is about that. Like, are you fulfilling your promises? They can be little promises in your relationship, to your family, or to yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. And that builds, like I said, confidence. Something I want to mention, I think this is something I think about often, and I don't want to like offend anyone here, but I look at a lot of people who are like substantially overweight. Right? I'm talking like very overweight.
Yes.
Yeah.
250, 300, 350 and above.
Right.
The biggest lie that whether they tell themselves or like they feel comes from the world is that working out is hard and that it's harder than their current reality. And I think something that, and again, I use overweight people as an example because it's like it's an exaggerated version of this concept, but this kind of applies to different people in different areas. Is if only someone told them and could convince them that the work it takes to get fit is actually easier than living in their reality.
Yeah.
Being overweight being that overweight cannot be easy. It's got to be very difficult to carry that much weight around, the health issues that come with it. Like, your day-to-day is so difficult.
Yes.
It's more difficult than our day-to-day busting our ass in this gym.
No, for
And that
sure.
work that it would take for them to cut those pounds is so worth it because it's easier than the alternative.
Yes.
I mean, we all seen those 600-pound live videos where they like this one lady can't even walk across an airport. Like, you telling
that's
me
sad. That's hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and two things on that. You know, that's one of the things we kind of touched on in a different episode was, you know, you don't want to be looked at, you know, in society as like somebody that you could take advantage of. You know, like our job, you know, is to be out there and protecting our family and our friends and things like that, you know, while we're out. And you have to be able to have a certain, you know, stamina and health about you to be able to do stuff like that, you know. And one of the things that was interesting that you say, you know, there's a person I like to watch on YouTube. I think his name is Dr. John Maloney or something like that. And he was talking about how sometimes in life you have to pick your heart.
Yeah.
And that was exactly the same like analogy he used. You know, if you need to lose weight, if you are overweight, that 100 pounds that you may need to lose is going to be incredibly difficult to do so.
Absolutely.
You know, but the stress that it's causing on your body, that's incredibly hard to live with.
Yeah.
You know, the weight on your chest, not being able to breathe, you know, your joints, you know, breaking down, you know, all of that stuff. You have to pick your heart. And in life, a lot of times, you know, we kind of just get used to just going like, you know, woe is me, things kind of suck right now, you know, and I'm just going to...
Taking the victim role.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, we all kind of get into these little funks, you know, but to stay in that state, it's very easy to actually get into that state and just stay in there. And you'd be surprised at what just getting into the gym or running will actually do for you afterwards, because now you can say, like, I got up and accomplished something.
Yeah, I pushed myself.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But the irony, though, the irony that lives in that is if you were to ask all four of us here right now, would you rather get a personal trainer who's going to push you beyond your limits. Pain we've sort of experienced. We know what that feeling's like for the next 365 days. Or would you rather me add 200 pounds of fat on your body? I promise you. Can we all agree? I'm picking A.
Yeah.
A's not as difficult as B.
Or B and have a crazy cut. But I'm not playing.
It comes with mental difficulty. It comes with physical difficulty. It comes with health difficulty.
Yes.
The gym is just really mental and physical and like this beautiful balance, really, that like you push yourself physically and you push yourself mentally, and that like where that meets is always beautiful. Like I'd say, I think all four of us here could run a marathon.
Easily.
I think none of us are prepared to.
No.
Could do it.
But we'd find a way.
Physically, our body would do it. Mentally, it would tap out.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, the mental kicks in more. And it's like, who's got the most mental fortitude to push themselves?
Yes.
Exactly.
We could physically do it. And I think that balance lives in the gym.
Well, some technical difficulties.
It happens.
It happens.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably happened with you
all the time.
4th episode, we'll get things figured out.
Still rubbing out the kinks.
Getting better and better each time, man. Well, we've definitely discussed quite a lot, and we were kind of talking a little bit about Ethan's recent trip out to Texas and everything, about how he gets his southern draw every once in a while. Maybe we can hear it a little bit more, like you can like sign us out or something like that, like in a southern draw, like
I don't
like a
I
newscast.
don't know if that would
I want to
be
hear it,
offensive.
partner.
You should do a whole pod like that. See how long you can hold it.
All right,
real.
y'all. Thank you for watching the video.
Bro,
man,
it's
that's
something
good.
about you shooting out there and maybe doing some drinking or something.
I don't know. Yeah,
We got
the
some-
black and milds and the
Black
no.
Texas, not
chewing
LA.
tobacco too.
yeah, the chew and the Coors Banquets and all that stuff. No, I'm just joking. I love Texas though. That's the Lone Star State. I have a lot of family out there. They live it right out there, man. It's so patriotic. It's crazy.
I know.
We went
Texas is a good place.
We went hog hunting, and that was yesterday. Around this time, we went hog hunting, and the rifle, the rifle I had, it was a 6.5 SPC, which I've never heard about that ammunition in my life, but it's a little smaller than a 30-06. If y'all know what that is, but but it had a suppressor on it, right? Which is just
That's illegal here. Yeah.
just everything
Might be
out
illegal there too.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's not?
You have to wait 6 months to get it though.
Okay.
And then the thermal scope, it had a thermal scope on it, and that's a $10,000 thermal scope, and the rifle's only $2,500 only, right?
Yeah.
But it also connected to my phone, so my dad didn't have a thermal scope when we were in the blind.
Shut up.
So I connected to my phone, so he's all like looking at my phone or the iPad while I'm like scouting a field, and he's like, oh, what's that over there? So we were like, it was so dope, dude. It was really cool. And then we didn't get anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right.
No bacon,
But the group that came in next stayed there till like 1 a.m. They got like 8 hogs, 5 coyotes, a fox. They got like 12 ducks.
Damn.
And y'all got nothing?
We got nothing, dude.
Bro, not a duck? You didn't come up with a duck?
Not even a duck. Homie, no mountain.
Nothing.
Not a bird.
Because it's my uncle's friend's land. He has about 600, 700 acres out there just open up. And it would be really cool if I did a video with all y'all out in Dallas, Texas.
Hey, let's go.
What's up, bro?
That would be cool. But they do it right out there, dude. They got ARs, 35-round magazines, suppressors, thermoscope, same deal, but with an AR, you could just follow them through the field, and it was interesting. It's a total different way of life, and the Southern culture, man, it's so different than California. So different. Everyone opens the door for you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes, sir. No, ma'am. No, sir. How y'all doing? And
You talking the accent?
it's awesome. I'll do it for the outro.
Okay.
Do it for the
Perfect.
Yes,
outro.
man.
And then you also spent some time out in Arizona too, right? It's kind of a little bit of a vibe out there for the patriotic vibe in certain
Arizona's
areas too, right?
One of those
Yeah.
red states.
Yeah.
We're living in weird times now. Yeah, I mean, I headed out there right after the pandemic, and that
Was it open?
Yeah, but I just remember everything was going on, and all my friends in California were complaining. I'm like,
I'm chilling
God,
over here.
Sucks for y'all.
and I remember thinking that, and then I got to a point where I'm like, man, I miss California.
Yeah, dude.
You know, there's a lot out here, and I love that. It's like I love the state. There's so much that's going on, like, where it's just like, man, like I wish it was ran a little bit differently.
It's such a nightmare of how it's ran, but at the same time, I always preach to people, bro. I'm like, we get so caught up in politics and all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's like, how much of it affects your life. I'm not saying it
I
doesn't.
agree, bro.
But also, A, how much control do we have in it these days? Doesn't seem like a lot. B, how much is it really affecting your life? Like, I know people who spend their time stressing about an outcome that is stressful. So it's like it's like this outcome that would provide stress, a stressful circumstance, they stress about. So they spend their whole day
Compounding
stressing
stress
about imaginary future stress.
You know, that's crazy because just last week, Ethan was like stressing about some crazy stuff that you said we can't control.
Yeah.
And I was trying to, you know, just trying to ease his mind a little bit about it.
For,
you know, like,
for me, it goes back to religion, though. Like, I'm a very religious person,
Beautiful.
so me focusing on what I have in my control versus what I don't have in my control. I try to focus on what I can change, and if whatever it be, outside sources, other people, you know, you get frustrated by people's choices and stuff like that. But I constantly have to remind myself, you know what, everything happens for a reason. It's not in my hands. You know, it's above me. So whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, and that's how it's supposed to happen. That's how it's written. And if you know, sometimes you need someone to want it just as bad as you want it for them. And that takes them to screw up and to mess up, and that could be correlated with anything in life, I think. Anything.
For sure. And at the end of the day, you can only, like, just be the best person you can possibly be.
Absolutely.
You know, like,
I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress.
I think we all are. If you can't admit that you're not a work in progress, you probably...
You got a bigger problem.
You got a bigger problem.
For real.
You're probably the one that everyone's, like, talking about at the party. Like, oh, man, they're here? Like,
oh, Gray's this dude again.
It goes back to our one topic, how people idolize all these YouTubers. Like, sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side, guys.
For
like,
sure.
all you see on Instagram is the happy moments. Not everyone's posting the daily struggles. You know what I mean? So
going back to what you're saying though, like I'm always a super like opinionated person. That comes from like my stubborn background of thinking that like I know better than all these people. But definitely through my faith, I realized that like, bro, we're all God's people and we all have our convictions. It's like, in this world, everyone's trying to prove to everyone, especially politically, that like they're wrong and I'm right. It's like the conviction you have towards your beliefs is the same conviction that person has towards the beliefs that you disagree with.
I know.
And so like helps you understand. They always say like you cannot both hate and understand at the same time, because if you understand someone, you won't hate them for their actions. You won't hate them for they are, because you'll understand why they are the way they are. Right?
Well, I definitely think there's a lot of divide that's kind of getting pushed on people too, and in the simplest form, if you were to probably have, you know, a conversation with some of these people that are in different political aisles than you are, and just see him like randomly at a bar, you'd probably want to buy him a beer.
100%.
Like,
100%.
just without, you know, adding the politics to it, just kind of talking to people and chopping it up. I think more people have more things in common than we have, you know, differences. But I think there's definitely forces out there trying to pin some people against each other, which I guess could kind of lead to our next thing, which when we usually wrap some things up here, Jordan, we usually end things with an ism. All right,
Ism.
With an ism,
There's a lot
man.
of isms that come to mind right now.
There's a lot of isms, bro. And so, you know, for our guests, we'd love to be able to just let them have the spotlight at the end. No pressure if you don't have anything that's coming.
You want to get
mind.
a zoomed in shot of the guest real quick? Zoom in shot real quick.
But yeah, man, it could be something that just was a quote that stuck out to you when you're going through a tough time. It could be something that you read on the back of a bumper sticker, bro. We have no problems where you get your isms from, man. But if there's something that you have that you can leave with people, a little mental. Get in the phone.
Bro.
And you know what I love about that?
Into the notes.
So do you write down stuff that just kind of sticks
random,
out? Bro, I do the exact same thing.
We do the same.
Bro,
let's go, dude.
Nice.
Random stuff, right?
Dude, anything that sticks out in my mind, I'm like,
he's
bro.
perfect. He's perfect for this.
Yo, so I don't know why. Okay, so two things. One quick thing that's not mine, like not my thought. I just heard this on I think from a pastor or something. It was saying, and again, if you're not in a faith, then maybe, I don't know, maybe this won't resonate, but like, I thought it was so cool. It said, work like it all depends on you, but pray like it all depends on God.
Wow.
And that just, because like I'm in my journey of faith, trying to like really learn how to pray and like how to talk to God really. And I always get caught in that, like, well, God's got this plan for my life and I've got these desires on my heart that he put on my heart. And it's like, what's the balance between letting God do his work in my life, but doing my job that he wants me to do, right? So I think it's a balance of you got to work.
Right.
Like God ain't helping you with anything. So that's the hustle. Like that's your drive. That's your part. but also pray like none of that matters and that you're going to walk in God's plan no matter what.
You know what's beautiful about that, brother?
Actually.
So I used to drum at my church in the worship, and I've been doing worship drumming for as long as I can remember. And the leader, one of our most recent leaders, he is Brazilian, and in Portuguese, I guess the word for prayer actually literally translates to like prayer and in action. Meaning, like, you pray, but you also have to act as if your prayer requires you to act in it. That's the literal definition of it. It's prayer with action.
Wow.
And so you just saying that, like, have that action, but, like, pray as if, you know.
As
like,
if it doesn't matter.
Exactly, man. It kind of ties into that. And so it's like, again, like, how beautiful is it that, like, God breaking down the language barriers? You know,
I know. I saw it the other day, and I was like, whoa. Just what some guy said, I'm like, whoa. And I thought about it, paused the podcast. Another thing I wrote down, I'll end it on this.
Yeah.
This is just something that came to my mind, something that I was dealing with, was have a strong moment now to avoid a weak moment later. I think a lot of the times in our lives, like, I don't know how to explain it in relation to what was happening in my life, but we can have a moment now that will dictate a follow-up in the future, right? Like, for example, I'll use this, right? Like, let's say I broke my fast and, like, I just gave up.
Yeah.
That's me having a weak moment, but me having a strong, and that has like repercussions in the future, right? Like again, goes with the confidence thing of me making that promise to myself and breaking it and losing that confidence.
Second-guessing yourself in the future, potentially.
So that weak moment had negative effects on my future, and in the same way, it's like if I just make and have a strong moment now, where I'm in control of it right now, and I'm inspired right now.
Yeah.
Don't wait until that inspiration goes away. Have a strong moment now to avoid a weak moment later where I might not have as much control over it.
Yeah.
If I could explain it in the context of why I wrote it down, it would make more sense. But it was just something I was going through. But that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's like when you have the chance to have a strong moment, just have it. Like don't wait. Don't prolong it. Have that moment now if you're scared that you're going to make a wrong decision in the future.
I love it.
Think on that how you think.
Wow, man. Wow, man. We talked about a lot of great stuff today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan Beau. I mean, should we give him just one more round of
just one
applause?
more.
I think we need to, man, because that was
awesome.
Man, that was awesome,
And
man.
this is part one. We definitely have to have a part two sometime in the future.
We have to have it.
One
Sometime
day,
in the
bro.
future.
I love this stuff.
Yeah, dude, just amazing, man. We get every single different person that we get on this podcast, we're just blown away still.
Yeah, everybody
and
got a different story, man.
It's amazing. But thank you, Jordan, on the behalf of the whole Renewed podcast. Thank you so much for showing up, dude. Xander, do you want to sign us out with our little sponsor?
Sure. Just one last reminder: D's subs. Go check out. Click the link in the description. Use our code for 20% off your next order. We got drinks, we got supplements, all that. So check it out.
All right, guys.
All right, until next time, guys. Thanks again. All right, Jordan. Peace.
Later.